Here I am, channeling Tina Turner, or perhaps Joan Jett. I feel very rock star right now, which is the perfect feeling for when I give you the March mid-month ask. Late mid-month, because you know how I feel about doing these things, but still the mid-month ask. We have done better than I expected this month. We are at more than half of our basic budget goal, which is exponentially better than we were at last month, but we are still indeed running a deficit, and we are not quite where we should be with 7 more days left of the month. So I am definitely asking you, for sustainers, if you have not completed your March and or February commitment yet, I do ask that you do so. For you all who are sustainers in training, I'm asking the same thing. Whether or not we are currently in turmoil or crisis, we aren't. But whether or not we have challenges, which we have, it's still important to keep your commitment. It's important for our various community partners. It's important so that we can build up our reserves so that we can eventually recruit and hire and retain an assistant slash community development director for me here in San Diego. And it's important for me. Again, I am very upfront. I am the largest expense of Lace on Race. Me, my mug, right here. It pays for my salary, which is a generous, considering our size, but modest salary, and it also pays for my health insurance. It also pays for me to be able to take time to write curriculum and resources and to interface with other organizations, both inside and outside of San Diego, offline and online. The Lace on Race Center for Racial Equity has its fingers in a lot of pies, and that is because of you. So, the ask is indeed important. I want to talk about the last ask I did, which garnered quite a lot of controversy and wound up being its own separate post. It's there if you want to find it on the Facebook page. Yes, I am grateful for everyone who has stood with me. I am also very aware of the people who have not. And so I am actually going to be, because it's me, you would think I would be less controversial on this video, but I'm actually going to risk making you mad again. Like I had said in the last ask that I did, that Holly's influence was real and felt. Like I said, we hit half of basic budget last month. That's not sustainable. And I basically said it was because of Holly's influence. It was, and also because the community as a whole allowed that influence to have a real effect. And it did. Here's the thing though, even on our best months, we get about a 2% response. 2% has me dancing in the streets on Madera and Lemon Grove. Literally, I'm doing a shimmy. 2%! So while we're talking about how much or how little we were able to have in community engagement in the month of February and even here in the month of March, we're talking about 2% of the populace that turned into 1%, and this month it's about 1.5%. But I want to also talk to the 99 to 98% of you who don't contribute at all, who do not financially engage with Lace on Race, but you still show up. Like I had said last month, and like I said in the post that I did about a week ago, that is here on the page, and I think it's also on in the bistro, we have not lost very many eyeballs over the last 6 weeks. I say something controversial and I lose eyeballs, but then I get more eyeballs, but then we lose eyeballs. So I stopped looking at eyeballs. And what I said in one of those long threads is very, very true. I stopped thinking about 10,000 of you because 10,000 of you, 98% of whom are dormant for whatever reason, that doesn't work. I am speaking to the 400 to 500 or so of you who are indeed active, where I see your heads poke out now and again. You're the ones that I want. So I very well may be talking to you. I'm glad you're here. Absolutely. I am absolutely grateful that you have decided that you are going to partake of the fare of Les Sonrays here at the takeout window, in the takeout window here in Facebook. I am also grateful for those of you who have registered for the Les Sonrays Cafe. I want to do a small digression. If you are not seated yet in the cafe, I have been told to make sure that I let people know every time I talk about the cafe because so much is going on there. We can't seat you without a real name and a real picture. No landscapes, no pets. I keep on using this as a prop, but here you go. No picture of Trader Joe's ground nutmeg. No, I need to see you. We need to see you. One of the things that is important for the Les Sonrays Cafe is that we start really committing to becoming the community we say we want to be, all in service of the North Star, which is, wait for it, lessening and mitigating the harm endured by Black and brown people, perpetuated by white people and by white supremacy. Part of that is leaning in. One of the 5 tenets, leaning into the guidelines. And one of those guidelines is indeed financial engagement. The things we could do if we even upped our participation rate by 1%. Can you imagine if we upped it by 2%, 5%? Can you imagine if 50% of you all lived out that bullet point in the guidelines? This is a big deal. Not just for me, although I really appreciate the ability to buy burritos and prescriptions at Kaiser and make sure that I can walk without a cane because of my physical therapy. It's a big deal. It allows me to be able to come to you. And we're going to talk about that more in some other videos that I'm doing, and it's all going to be on a different day. You guys all know my little trick of different hair, different earrings, different lipstick, different wardrobe, and you guys think it's all different days, but no, I try to do a bunch of videos in one day so that I can start doing more and more of the stuff of Les Sonrays. The Les Sonrays Center for Racial Equity is indeed a going concern regardless of what happened last month. We are going to be talking about the endowment. Let's do a little bit of talking about the endowment right now since I have your attention. The endowment was originally meant to make sure that I could pay my health insurance until I hit 65. That's 8 years from now. The county retired, and it gives me a small, modest income, not quite enough to live on by Southern California standards, but it does give me an income. What it does not give me is health insurance. And one of the things that I had said right before, I would say, the election, let's just say late September, was if I knew that I had health insurance, I would quit the county tomorrow. And someone came up to us, the family that funded the endowment, and said, we want you to be able to do that. We are by no means rich, but we believe in your mission, we believe in your ethos, and we think that you should be able to do this all day, every day. And also, we don't think you should have to work 120 hours a week. That part hasn't really happened. I have cut down. I've cut down. Now I'm like at 80 to 100 hours a week. And wow, the things I can do now. Laundry that can be done. I have been making every single Thursday trash pickup, which I wasn't doing before. Yeah, it's been terrific. And one of the things that we did when we talked to that family, and we said, thanks, we'd like to do it. And now we're going to grill you and make you sorry you even offered. So we grilled them for 3 whole hours. Are you sure? Are you sure? Why do you want to do it? What is this going to cost us? You know that you're not going to be able to be the 800-pound elephant in the room. You are not going to drive policy. You are not going to drive method. You are not going to be able to tell Lace what she can and can't talk about. And they said, okay. And it's like, okay, well, since we're on the Zoom call and I'm just gonna go for broke, I said, okay, well, that's terrific. I want it unrestricted. I don't want you to be able to say where the money goes. because in my head, I was already thinking about things. I was thinking about scholarships and fellowships and perhaps a sustained space here in San Diego where we can do conferences, where we could have a studio so that basically you're not looking at my kitchen all the time. I wanted it all. And they said, okay, it's unrestricted. You do you. And I went, are you sure? Are you sure? And they said yes. By the way, Holly was in on these conversations too. She knew everything that went down. So when she decided to out the family and give an incredibly distorted picture of the conversations we had with the family, welp. But we do have that endowment. And it means so much to the organization as a whole. The Lason Race Center for Racial Equity is going to be a going concern, regardless of what any one individual does. But we don't want to cannibalize it. We don't want to use it so that Lace can make sure that her hip is taken care of, or she pays for her diabetes medication, or for the mousse that it really takes to make this wig look very, very Joan Jett. Yeah, we wanted it to be able to be used for other things. What if we funded 3 community partners every month, not just 2? What if we upped what we pay out in the Lason Race Mental and Emotional Health Fund? What if we started partnerships with other organizations? What if we did everything that we dreamed of? What if I was able to sit here and dedicate a full month to fleshing out a book or fleshing out curriculum? So yeah, we have it. What it also was, and believe me, in these last months, this vote of confidence that that family has invested in us and in the Lace on Race community by funding this endowment. And by the way, they're not Jeff Bezos. They're not Elon Musk. They're comfortable, but they're not rich. This is a sacrifice. This is something that they're not going to be able to do. And I realize that a lot of people have a big problem with the endowment. We should be celebrating the endowment. Lace on Race will outlive me. That's exciting. The Lace on Race Center for Racial Equity will still be needed in 20 or 30 years when I'm either doddering or dead, because by that time I'll be 87. You'd think that I'd be retired by now. Because racism and white supremacy will still indeed be an issue. And what we push and what we are convicted in is that racism and white supremacy are primarily economic constructs will still be there. I do not want the fact, I'm going to say this plainly and hear it, and I can already feel how many people are going to drop off when I do. I do not want the relative success of this organization, the fact that people have seen what we do and how we do it and who we are when we do it, and they decided that they wanted to plug into that and partner with us for the long haul, for long range visioning. Even though it's unrestricted funds, we made it very clear, and they made it very clear, that the focus would be that we would raise the funds for our day-to-day operations. That way, we will ensure sustainability. I'm very quietly proud and galvanized and so grateful that people have seen what I am trying to do with this organization, seen what my staff and leadership team are doing, and seen what we are doing as a community with new people doing new things in new ways. And they said, we want a piece of that. And I said, okay. There should be no punishment or resentment about that. There should be no drop off in day-to-day funding, because now that we've got this nest egg, then we're taken care of for the next 5 or 6 years. And we're going to hit something else hard too right now. I make it a point to live modestly. I mean, that is a new microwave. It's really nice. I love it. I got it at Costco because the other one that was literally 29 years old died. My mom bought it for my 28th birthday in 1991. So it would have been almost 30 years old. I was down to the point where only two numbers on the pads worked. So I had to stand there. I'm making popcorn and the only two numbers that worked. So it's like boop, boop. And then I'm just waiting. So yeah, thank you for allowing me the wherewithal to go to Costco and get a microwave. It's a big deal. It allows me to eat soup while I type. But in all seriousness, to be able to know that our day-to-day expenses are taken care of even as we vision out bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, because the need is still there and our method works and we're proud of it and we feel it's scalable and replicable. Because I want to be able to go to smaller organizations like I've done and say, here I am. It doesn't cost you a dime. We got it covered. In fact, what do you need? And then we give it to them. I was talking to my sister today, who is slowly dipping her fingers into the waters of Lace on Race. And she was saying, about those community partners, Lace, what are those? And she didn't say Lace, she said Jan, because my family calls me by my middle name, Jan or Janine. So she said, Jan, tell me about those community partners. And I told her, and her eyes got wide, and she said, you're doing all that? And I said, yeah, I am. Enjoy your burrito. So we ate burritos and we talked about the last 3 years of Lace on Race. And then my older sister, Elena, she looked at me and she said, Jan, you all right. Which in Watkins parlance for our family, that means literally, wow. And she looked at me and I looked at her and she did this with her head. I almost cried, but if I cried, I would have gotten in trouble with her because I'm not supposed to cry. We're not supposed to have Hallmark moments. We're just sitting there eating burritos. But yeah, her little sister did this. And will continue to, and will continue to. For my nephews, for my niece, for all the little saplings who are growing up in leadership team. For men and women we will never see. The Lace on Race Center for Racial Equity will be here for them, advocating for them, fighting for them, all in service to North Star values. And then we take these values and we take it outside, each and every one of us. My goal is to have all 10,000 of you getting it in, and then taking it out. And we can only do it with your help. So again, sustainers, if you haven't yet, go for it. Thanks in advance, sustainers in training, same thing. For those of you who pay a la carte, this is your opportunity, and thank you. For those of you who are not sure yet, if you've been here longer than 20 minutes, you know how I roll. And for those of you who are, as I was saying in another video, if you're in the Coliseum waiting for me to fail, waiting for the organization to fold, it's not happening. We're still here. We're still called. We're still charged. To suit up, to stand up, to show up, and to serve up. That's the fourth part. We're going to do a 4-part series on that as soon as I'm done finishing up all those other series I haven't done yet. It's been a fun 2 months. But yeah, show up, suit up, stand up, serve up. If any of this resonates with you and you want to be here for the long haul and you want sustainable community and you want to learn how to live out your values in ways that align with North Star values and that will help you in other ways, but is secondary, stick around. But we need your help to be able to stick around. This is indeed the mid-March, late March, mid-March ask. I ask with gratitude, with anticipated response, and with Hesed love at the core. I love y'all so much, and I want to keep doing this and doing this and doing this until my last breath. Racial justice is not just an important part of my life, it is my life. And I want it to be your life too. And I want to walk with you the entire way, shoulder to shoulder, eye to eye. I love y'all.